There you are. How's it going? I got some new reader safety goggles. Less than a week old. Went to the eye doctor finally. All right, first things first. Because if you're stuck on the road, and this may be a fix for you. 579 2014 MX-13 engine. Cranks doesn't start. If you have a diagnostic Davies program, the little icons on the bottom of the screen will have a diagnostic link and like a globe and then a computer and then your truck, and then if you put your pointer on the truck, it'll say no battery voltage detected. You might have data lost due to incorrect power down, P3875 or U1571 EGR valve module, CAN message timeout. Might have other communication or power codes. So anyway, let me find where we can have a decent picture of this thing. Okay, on your firewall, you need a test light. If you're a truck driver, you need a test light. And if any of your lights quit or if you break down, the first thing you should do is check fuses and possibly relays. If you can just find like relays and just swap them, and if something starts working and the other thing stops working, you know it's relay. But anyway, here it is. Here's your firewall, your power distribution module. This is the outside. This would be the inside. That fuse right there. Man, I gotta get a pointer. I need a good pointer. Here we go. Right there. That is a ground controlled relay controlled by your ECM, and it powers up your other fuses that power up your ECM. A lot of times there's moisture out there. A lot of times that thing's screwed up. And there's too much corrosion for you to be able to do anything about it. You see this thing? I don't know if you can see it that well. There's, dang, I should have got a flashlight. This relay is that relay that goes right there, right? And it was all green. And so I switched the relay thinking it would work. It would fix my problem. I jumped from the two big posts there, and my truck would start, and it would communicate with those two posts jumped with jumper wire. It started. It communicated. Okay, I swapped the relay. Didn't fix it. The problem was, it's a ground controlled relay. So what happens is it's power there all the time. When the ECM grounds that, gives it a path to ground, it energizes a little coil in there, little magnetic switch, and then you got your higher amperage your switch. It closes, and then electricity can flow, and that powers your ECM. Anyway, I didn't have ground there. I didn't have ground control for my ECM. So if you're looking at this, I think it might be some other models that have the same. I better not start saying that, but let's say 579. So I want to do this quick enough so that if you're on the side of the road, you're getting something useful out of this. All right, so this might be hard to see, but you can pause it and hopefully zoom in if you can do that. But yeah, right above there, here is supposed to be your ECM, your J2 plug. There's 3 plugins on your ECM. the top one's J1, and the second one's a J2, and the bottom one's a J3. It's at cavity 3. I think, what does this say? I'm looking at the wrong one. Nope. It's 3112-101, and that goes to cavity 14 on your P121C. I'll show you that again. So there you go, pin 3 from the J1 to the 121. All right. That wasn't grounding because there's a break somewhere in here. Now it looks nice and easy on the schematic, but in the engine, you have your ECM, and then it goes, and then the OEM harness goes up and along the top, and then goes down the back, and then goes underneath almost the firewall, and comes up the firewall, and then that would bring you to the maybe, well, this connector anyway, up to this connector. It branches off and it goes into a few different connectors, but this is the 121, and the third one down in the middle was the 14. It's a gray wire. So if you wanted to fix it with an overlay, that would be the way to fix it. Or the really quick fix just to get it to run would be jumping those two big posts. I'm trying to find a better picture. Man, it's hard. This is really difficult sometimes. I think I erased all the pictures off my phone, so I think I blew that one up. Yeah, but that's the one. Gray 3112-101. And sometimes you can make out those numbers on the wires, but what I ended up doing was doing an overlay and lumen it and splicing it in, and it ran, cranked and started rather than no start. So I will check and see. I had some good oh, I should say that here's where here's the 121 on your firewall right there. It's right below that relay. So somewhere in here, it's like a circuit board behind there, and there's these fuses and relays on the inside somewhere. So it goes from the ECM to here, and then grounds there, and then that powers up your fuses for powering up your ECM and all your communications and that. So that's the quick fix. Now I just covered that because my video I did earlier tonight, it's just sad because the guy had to have it towed in, right? And I know that costs a lot to get a big record, and I don't know how far he went, but anyway, and then you don't know what's going on. I mean, my boss told me it sounds like maybe the turbo's plugged up or something, and it cranks, it won't start. They cranked on it till it doesn't have any batteries left. Put a charger on it. Nobody knows what's going on, and then the tow truck driver's like, it smelled like ether. So they're like, oh, maybe blew the rings out of it or something, but didn't end up being the case. But yeah, I just think little things like that should get talked about, because you can try it. Like, I remember there's a Chevy Top Kick, little dump trucks and stuff back in the day. They had two big relays on the firewall, and I would one controlled like the body, like, and the other controlled like the cab. I can't even remember if that's correct, but it was like that. It was like the two big relays. Well, one would fail and the thing wouldn't start. So I would swap them and they would start, and then I would change a relay. And it was like, it'd suck when people get it towed in, but and you'd fix it in 2 seconds. But that's one thing that I'll be able to look for more, especially when you put your diagnostic. Your Davies will tell you no battery voltage detected. The 3 ECM fuses next to the relay won't have power with the ignition on, and then you can jump the thing and it'll start and you'll have your communication. But I have to say, it wasn't me. I'm not so smart or nothing. I go, man, I can't even communicate. One of the other mechanics in the shop is like, I'd start checking relays. And I'm like, okay. And your ECM power relays and fuses, and that's where I found it. And then the only thing that was really good on me was I found the schematics, and I actually couldn't find the connector on the firewall. Or, and even my friend had just run into something like this a month or 2 ago, where there was that same circuit was rubbed somewhere in the harness. And if you know MX motors, they have that crazy foam harness that you really can't dig into. You destroy it if you dig into it. And then so anyway, he did overlay and fixed it, but he couldn't find the problem because he'd always find it working. And then he load tested that finally, and he was saying what a stupid system it was, because it actually, your ignition powers up the ECM grounds it, energizes the relay, and then powers up the rest of your power. It's like he's pretty stupid, and I'm like, yeah, it really doesn't make a ton of sense. So anyway, hopefully a jumper wire, light tester and a jumper wire might get you off the side of the road. Or it might not. It might be a plug turbo. It might be anything. It could be just loose connections, or on your starter, or I don't know. It could be ignition switch, starter. No, it's cranking. Yeah, ECM powers. If it cranks and it doesn't fire, it's ECM powers a big thing. Fuel's the other thing, right? What fuel timing? ECM's pretty much timing. ECM's timing and fuel. It times it in, injects fuel. I don't know. Anyway, let's get into this, man. I got a new scope. Let's get into it. Oh, and it's not really an unboxing video because I seen the box on the porch, and boom. Man, I wish I had some better lighting. I need to light this up better. This is why I like the live stream. I don't feel like I'm wasting data on my phone. They came with the Butler Creek caps. They're pretty tight. They're gonna be weatherproof. All right, let's see what I got here. I put this up here the other day because I was thinking how great it would be to light up my stuff. I'm not really thinking about videotaping at that time. Anyway, let's brighten up this scope here. I didn't even move the turrets, and they came, which way? Set on 0. The turrets are set on 0. If you can see that, that's 0. That's 0. Oh, glass is clean, fellas. Let's see. Whoa. If we could show you the reticle, that'd be cool. There you go. Ugh, this is difficult. See how steady I am? So I can't shoot. Anyway, but this is my second SWFA Super Sniper. I love their logo. I think it's dope, man. I thought it was a crow, but I heard it was an eagle. I don't know. I got a fixed 20. That made the reticle look a lot different. When I look through this, I go, whoa, that's the reticle. Like when it's on 20 power, first focal plane, it's zoomed in quite a bit, right? You can see every little diamond, and I think each diamond depends on which direction you're going is like half a mil, and then like quarter mil or something like that. The 20 power, the point of that was just to have the cheapest thing I could shoot 1,000 yards at, and with, and $300, and you have a 20 power decent glass, excellent, tough, well tracking scope, and then tracking as far as the turrets go and all. Can you hear it? They work good. So I always hear these guys spin them really quick. Anyway, they go right back to the same place. You do your little test up your cardboard target, aiming at the same spot, and they track accurately. And but they're tough. These are tough. And that's why the tracking and the toughness and the quality for the money is why I wanted to get this to hunt with, which you can't hunt with a fixed 20 unless you're just sitting on one side of the canyon, glass on the other side of the canyon, right? It has to be hundreds of yards away with a fixed 20. So with a fixed 6, that's more realistic. And then I heard a lot of old timers like the fixed ones, fixed 6s, fixed 4s. And I was like, yeah, that's really cool. And plus, I think you can shoot it 600 yards, and yeah, durability, toughness, simplicity. It's very cool. The focus is right here. Came set on like 45 or something, but you just move that. It's very smooth. It's not too hard. Very cool. Very cool. So I just leave that set at like 75. Throw that thing up and find the deer quickly. If it's not closer than 75 or something, like 2 feet, you're gonna have problems. But anyway, I think they're really cool, really good scopes for the money. Oh yeah, and it was on sale. And then the extra bonus came with Butler Creek caps, which I've never had caps on my rifle. I usually, put those bikini things on, or those neoprene covers I really like. So, okay, what's going on, right? So I bought right before last hunting season the ultimate rifle, the ultimate scope and ultimate rifle. Well, for my budget and whatever. But I made a video I never posted about it. But my Bagheera 7mm Remington Magnum with a VX3 4.5 to 14 scope, and I haven't learned how to shoot this thing, honestly. And I've got loads that I can shoot a few pretty well through, and then it's a beautiful gun. I love how light it is. I got the I keep switching bipod on it, bipod not on it. The stock, these rubberized stocks, I can't get enough of. I love the way this feels. It's really light gun. It's like, but the thing I started thinking is like, it's got a nice trigger. The thing I started thinking was shooting offhand. I didn't shoot a deer offhand last year. I should have. And I started thinking about how nice this scope is, and I started wondering why I can't shoot this thing. And I really came to the conclusion is that you can only shoot 3 rounds through this thing before it starts getting hot. And I also believe the recoil, I've loaded too hot. And so I'm going to load some loads up for this thing a lot lighter than I have been loading. And I've been getting lighter and lighter. And I've even gone down in bullet weight, but to 150 grains. But I'm probably going to probably load some lighter than I had loaded partitions, 160 grain, and probably some SSTs. Hopefully the SSTs shoot good because they're a lot cheaper than partitions. And I've got some ELDXs. And if I can't get a load with that, I'm gonna go 175s. All these are 160s, 162s. I've been shooting these, which I have a fairly accurate load with these. Tried the same load with different brass, and I about blew the primer pocket out. So with FC brass, I've got a load with those, but not with Winchester brass. Let me see. Yeah, I'm gonna go up to 175s if I can't get a decent consistent. The thing is, I can shoot a good group one day and the next day I can't, type thing, and that bums me out, and it makes me not very confident. And then I go pick up my 308 and I go shoot, and I'm shoot them next to each other, and the 308's like this, and the Magnum's like that, big group, and you're like, well, maybe I should just put higher magnification Leopold, nicer glass on the 308 because it groups well enough I can shoot it far, and then put the Fix 6 on the Rem mag, and more likely scenarios, and it's easier to carry anyway, will be closer, and a Fix 6 would be fine. And if it needs to be a longer shot, I got dials, and if I can lay on my backpack long enough, I might sling something out there. But so anyway, beautiful gun, beautiful. Like if you could shoot a gun off-handed, it would be this gun, because it's easy to hold off-handed. So hopefully things work out, maybe. And I don't know, man. I really like that scope so much. I don't want to take it out in weather anymore. It's an awesome scope. The Leopold, you see the difference in the glass on the Leopold at dusk. Usually when I'm at the range and it's getting dark, and the other higher magnification scopes, you can't hardly see through. It's hard, and then you can still see a bright, clear picture with that VX3 Leopold. The flip side is too, like of that, as far as glass quality, SWFA has good glass quality, and not as good as that Leopold, but with a 6 power, it's going to look a lot better than, when I have a 20 power. It'll look better. But yeah, that's a beaut, man. Not a blemish on it, and a couple of cool caps and whatever. Whatever's clever, Trevor. I think, yeah, I've only had those bikini things or neoprene things on there. Oh, there's a screw hole, and I see on some of their higher end variable scopes they'll have like a lever on there, and I'm thinking if I can unscrew that screw and put a something on there, put a little handle on there, that'd be cool for focus. Really cool for focus. Anyway, I don't know how long I'm gonna go here as far as I don't really like it on here because adjusting, it's a little bit rough. A little bit of the focus for the reticles on the back. It's got a little plus and minus thing for the reticle, and then there's your parallax, and then elevation. But putting it on there, I didn't want to like move the thing around. So anyway, that's what I'm doing. That's what I got going on. So the other thing, as far as like reloading goes, so I don't usually think. I think bullet weight plays a big factor with a barrel, like twist rates and what a gun likes, and I don't think primers play a big part with a barrel though, or with a gun. I think if one primer is slightly hotter than the other, then a grain or a tenth of a grain here and there can level that playing field. Maybe some primers are better. It's kind of hard to say that, but maybe I think that's true. I don't know. I think maybe I've had a little more consistency with Winchester large rifle than maybe like CCIs, but not more than bench-rest CCIs. But bench-rest CCIs tend to be a little tamer, a little less hot, but in my experience. So anyway, I haven't. Okay, so does a gun like a certain bullet more? Yeah. Yep. Definitely. And I've played around with partitions, ballistic tips, SSDs, ELDs, and weight bullet. Yeah, they might. I've gone 162, 160, and down to 150s. I actually have some 145 that I'm tempted to try because I've never loaded any spear boat tails that didn't shoot like champs, man. Had a little bit of trouble with my 270 getting it dialed in with 130s, but I had a lot better luck with 140s. Not in spears, but anyway. So a weight bullet, a brand bullet, yes, that'll affect it. Primers, I believe you can compensate powder to make it even out. I don't really think there's a magic primer, so I don't think they're finicky about primers or cases. Cases have different capacities, but that also you can compensate for. But I kind of always can't believe that powder you could find a load for powder that you would like. And I've got this to shoot a couple groups and got good velocity with that. Rotumbo, I think this is still my first can of it. This is like my second can of this, so I'll say I have figured out more with this than this. What else did I use? I used some other stuff, man. I might have threw it away. I might have threw the can away. Oh, no, it isn't. This stuff, I started with this. I actually got some really good groups with this, but I didn't get as good of velocity as I thought I should get. And you notice I'm doing all stuff I can hopefully trust in the cold weather. And that brings us to my third powder I'm going to try. So this one you could find a load for. I found a load for this. Okay, found loads for this. Didn't have the velocity I wanted. Had pressure signs before I hit 3,000. This I found some loads for. I'm not through a whole can yet. Feels like about a half a can. On the second can of this, and I found good loads for this. And what I mean by good loads is it'll shoot 3 close to touching, and after the 4th round will be higher. I think the thing heats up too quick for that thin barrel, and I think it gets more velocity on that 4th round. They temperature sensitive or not, when you cook the round, I think you get more velocity. So anyway, here comes this one. Should have velocities more like this one probably, but I'm just hoping for more consistency from one time at the range to the next, and I'm gonna pay attention to more. Maybe I abandoned this too soon, but the problem, my brass isn't lasting okay with the load that I developed for that. At under 3,000 feet, it was like 29.85, which is cool, but the brass lasted 3 reloads. That's it. And then Rotumbo, I'm not unhappy with, except that I've had a hard time. Basically, I've burned up 150 rounds. 50 rounds, I reloaded 3 times, and I can't put a primer back in those pockets. 50 rounds, I reloaded 3 times. I can't put a primer back in those. This one, I just decided to abandon it and start over and try this one. Why I spend too much money, right? But anyway. So I've been doing like I've been loading like 10 at a time or whatever, and to be honest, I reloaded 150 grain ballistic tips with Winchester brass. I got 4 left. I wasn't impressed with the groups. Can't remember the load. It was 8133, and they were going fast. They were pretty cooking. They were getting close to 32 with 150s, which isn't hard with 150s. But They didn't shoot that good. I could drop it down a little more and try. I'm starting to feel like the recoil is pretty tame with that. So maybe I will load some more 150s with the 8133 and then try my new stuff, the 4831 SC. But I'm going to do my partitions probably first. I'm probably going to load. I'm going to start with other rifles, I gotten to where I don't start at minimum. But with the Remington Magnum and 280 that I've played with, they both, the pressure signs are crazy below what some books will say, but they all use different brass, so it's hard to trust because they're all using different brass than I'm using, because I'm not buying Nosler brass. I did use Hornady brass, but I burned that up first thing. So I bought cheaper brass, and then now I'm done with that. And now I'm trying a different one. So might as well. It's like you work it up with different brass. You might as well use different powder, because I don't know. Once I went to the Winchesters, it's like I gotta drop 1.5 grains to get away from pressure signs of the same things I was loading with Federals. So anyway, I'm not gonna resize any brass. I was gonna resize some brass and just baloney it with you guys, but anyway, the beginning of the video was useful. This rambling is not that useful, but earlier I did that video and it was useful, but except for my camera work was terrible. But you'll be able to figure it out if you know anything about that system with the MX-13. But when I first started making videos, it was like I wanted something on YouTube to be useful, because I'd look up stuff and I'd be like, this is worthless. It's worthless stuff. And so I put some cat videos on there, and I was pretty discouraged because nobody looked at them for a while. But now I've got like 300 views on one and 200 on another. So at least a few people maybe got a little hint from them, a little help from them, at least seeing how you do it a little bit. But yeah, I don't know, man. Hopefully it's not really meant to be entertaining. This part, well, my original purpose wasn't to be entertaining, but I started thinking it's just cool to baloney bull, and I started thinking the First Amendment is really important, because I feel like the left's gone way too far, and it's time for the right to put it right. Anyway, I should have ended with that, but I'm not gonna. But yeah, man, I think it's gotten crazy. I think everybody should get on here, and especially, everybody, maybe if you have a serious political view, maybe not a 16-year-old, but I don't think they have political views, because not legit ones. This is my political view. But anyway, what I'm saying is, you should get on here and you should speak your mind, because I think a lot more people are right-leaning than left-leaning, and we need to bring the left back to the center, because it's pretty wild. Watching videos, see a lot of people do. I make sure it's clear first. Make sure, because I actually have pulled the something back and had a round still in there. Looks like it didn't pick up right. So, or maybe I didn't lock it all the way in. I think it's bolt action, but do you ever notice that? Like people that really play with the guns, they're like me, I'm like this, right? But people that do it, they know what they're doing, I think. Always keep it loaded. No, don't. But I just keep it loaded when I'm here at the house and stuff, in case somebody tries to steal me or something. But anyway, all right. Have a good day. Yeah.